brain isn't loyal to you, it's loyal to yesterday, quietly sabotaging your survival while you mistake memory for wisdom and stagnation for virtue. Chapter 1. The False Mirror. You believe the past explains you. That belief is the trap. Your brain uses memory as a mirror, but it is a warped mirror, one that flatters weakness and excuses stagnation. It does not show you who you are. It shows you who you were when you last felt safe. The distinction matters. Survival has never rewarded accuracy. It rewards utility. Memory is not built to make you effective. It is built to make you consistent. Consistency is useful to systems. It is fatal to men. The past feels authoritative because it is familiar. Familiarity masquerades as truth. Your brain confuses repetition with reliability, emotional intensity with importance, and duration with validity. A belief held for 10 years feels heavier than a belief formed yesterday, even if it no longer serves you. That weight is not wisdom. It is inertia. This is why you defend outdated versions of yourself with religious intensity. Old decisions become sacred. Old failures become personality traits. Old pain becomes a moral badge. You are not honoring your history, you are submitting to it. The past becomes a constitution you never voted on, enforced by a nervous system that hates uncertainty more than it loves victory. Notice how quickly you justify your current limits by referencing previous events. That's just how I am. This happened to me. I've always been this way. These are not explanations. They are alibis. The brain prefers an alibi to adaptation, because adaptation requires energy, risk, and the temporary loss of identity. The brain would rather keep you weak and predictable than flexible and unknown. Power does not come from memory. Power comes from selective amnesia. Predators do not remember who they were when they were smaller. Empires do not consult their origin stories before expanding. They rewrite themselves or they die. Only prey clings to continuity. Only the controlled obsess over being true to themselves. Truth is irrelevant. Function is everything. The false mirror tells you that loyalty to your past makes you principled. In reality, it makes you legible. Legible men are easy to manipulate. Employers exploit them. Partners test them. Rivals anticipate them. The moment someone can predict your reactions, your leverage collapses. Your brain resists this realization violently because it threatens identity continuity. If the past is not sacred, then neither are your justifications, your grudges, your self-image, or your moral posture. That is terrifying, not emotionally, but strategically. It means you are responsible for updating yourself, not excused by what already happened. Understand this clearly. Memory is not an archive. It is an editor. It highlights moments that support the story you already believe about yourself and discards those that contradict it. You think you are remembering reality. You are rehearsing a narrative. Narratives feel stable. Stability feels safe. Safety is the enemy of advancement. This is why men get trapped in old roles long after the environment has changed. The loyal employee stays loyal in a market that rewards opportunism. The moral idealist stays moral in a system that exploits restraint. The wounded man stays wounded because pain has become his proof of depth. Each one mistakes endurance for strength. The false mirror does not ask, "Does this work now?" It asks, "Does this feel familiar?" And familiarity is a low standard. It is the standard of livestock, not strategists. Until you break this mirror, every attempt at change will be cosmetic. You will add habits, consume content, recite intentions, while the core identity remains untouched, anchored to a version of you that no longer deserves authority. This chapter is not about healing the past. That concept is sentimental nonsense. The past does not need healing. It needs demotion, stripped of command, reduced to data, not doctrine. If you cannot dethrone your own history, someone else will use it to rule you. Chapter 2. Neural inertia and comfort addiction. Your brain is not designed to win. It is designed to conserve. What you call personality is mostly neural inertia, the tendency of repeated circuits to fire again because it costs less energy than building new ones. The brain is an accountant, not a general. It minimizes expenditure, not defeat. When faced with uncertainty, it defaults to what has worked before, even if worked only meant survival, not dominance. This is the core mechanism trapping you in the past. Every repeated thought strengthens a pathway. Every emotional replay deepens it. Over time, these pathways become highways, and deviation feels dangerous. Not because it is, but because the signal is unfamiliar. Your nervous system interprets unfamiliarity as threat. Comfort, therefore, becomes confused with safety. Safety becomes confused with virtue. This is where addiction begins, not to substances, but to internal states. You are addicted to the emotional chemistry of who you used to be. Old anger, old hope, old shame, old victories. They produce predictable neurochemical responses. Dopamine for anticipation, cortisol for vigilance, serotonin for moral certainty. Your brain prefers a known pain to an unknown advantage because known pain is manageable. Unknown advantage requires risk, and risk requires rewiring. Rewiring is metabolically expensive. This is why men return to the same behaviors even after consciously deciding not to. The decision happens in language. The compulsion lives in circuitry. Willpower is weak against infrastructure. You cannot outthink a system that has been reinforced thousands of times through emotion and repetition. Understand the cruelty of this design. The brain rewards familiarity even when it is self-destructive. It will steer you back to the same relationships, the same mistakes, the same self-concepts, because the chemical pattern is known. The outcome is irrelevant. The process is efficient. This is why nostalgia is so dangerous. It floods the system with dopamine without requiring action. It gives you the sensation of meaning without present-day leverage. You feel connected, grounded, yourself, while becoming increasingly obsolete. The brain loves this trade. You should not. Comfort addiction also explains moral rigidity. Once a belief has been emotionally reinforced, challenging it creates neural dissonance. Dissonance feels like internal threat. So the brain defends the belief aggressively, not because it is correct, but because it is chemically stabilized. You interpret this defense as integrity. In reality, it is addiction to coherence. Power requires the ability to tolerate incoherence. High-agency individuals endure internal discomfort to gain external advantage. Low-agency individuals protect internal comfort at the cost of external control. Your brain will always push you toward the second option unless trained otherwise. Notice how quickly you retreat into old explanations under pressure. Stress narrows cognition. Narrow cognition activates default circuits. Default circuits are the past. Under threat, you do not rise to your ideals, you fall to your wiring. That wiring was shaped when you were weaker, less informed, less capable. So every stressful moment becomes a regression. This is why growth stalls precisely when it matters most. The brain prioritizes stability over evolution. In nature, this works because environments change slowly. In modern power structures, it is lethal. Markets shift, social hierarchies mutate, competitors adapt. The man whose brain clings to comfort becomes predictable, then replaceable. Do not romanticize discipline here. Discipline is not motivation or grit. It is the deliberate exposure to cognitive discomfort without retreat. It is forcing the brain to learn that unfamiliar does not equal unsafe. That loss of comfort is not death. That identity disruption is not annihilation. Until that lesson is learned, the brain will keep dragging you backward, presenting it as wisdom, morality, or staying true to yourself. In truth, it is staying chemically satisfied. The past persists not because it is powerful, but because it is easy. And easy men are resources. Chapter 3. The Prisoner Archetypes. Men trapped by the past do not look trapped. They look principled, loyal, or deep. That is why they are so useful to others. Predictable minds make stable assets. These are not personality types. They are containment patterns. Ways the past keeps authority over the present. The loyal ghost. This man lives in allegiance to previous structures, to a company that no longer rewards him, a relationship that already ended, a belief system that once gave him certainty. He confuses loyalty with honor. In reality, he is haunted by sunk cost. His brain cannot accept that time invested does not guarantee future return. He stays because leaving would invalidate who he thought he was. His predictability makes him exploitable. He will endure disadvantage longer than necessary because endurance is the only power he believes he has. The wounded narrator. This man survives by storytelling. Every limitation is explained through past harm. Every hesitation is justified by memory. Pain becomes his credential. He believes suffering gives him moral authority. What it actually gives him is stasis. His identity depends on the injury remaining relevant. Healing, or worse, outgrowing the wound, would erase his narrative leverage. So the past is constantly rehearsed, kept alive, sharpened. He does not want resolution. He wants continuity. The moral martyr. This archetype anchors himself to principles that were formed when he had less power. He believes restraint is virtue, passivity is depth, and refusal to adapt is integrity. He defines himself by what he will not do. This makes him feel superior while remaining ineffective. Systems love him. He self-polices. He refuses opportunities that require moral flexibility, then claims the moral high ground as compensation for lost influence. The peak worshiper. This man experienced a moment, status, strength, success, admiration, and mentally froze there. Everything afterward feels like decline. Instead of building a new peak, he defends the old one in memory. He compares the present to a highlight reel and finds it lacking. This comparison paralyzes him. His brain prefers remembrance to reconstruction because remembrance preserves identity without risk. The identity archivist. He catalogs who he has been, labels, roles, traits, diagnoses, philosophies. Each one feels earned, so he protects them. Adaptation threatens the archive. Letting go would mean admitting that past versions were provisional, not permanent. He chooses coherence over capability. He would rather be consistent than effective. These archetypes share one trait. They mistake psychological continuity for strength. Continuity feels stable. Stability feels controlled. But in competitive environments, stability without leverage is a liability. None of these men are weak in character. They are weak in selection pressure. They have not been forced, yet, to abandon identity in order to survive. When that pressure arrives, they break. Not because they lack will, but because they lack flexibility. The past holds them through emotional contracts they never renegotiated. Loyalty, pain, morality, nostalgia. Each becomes a leash. The leash feels self-chosen. That is the elegance of the trap. The moment you recognize yourself in one of these archetypes, the instinct is to defend it, to explain it, to soften it. That defense is the proof. You are not defending truth. You are defending a cage you learned to decorate. Power begins when you stop asking which archetype you are and start asking which one is being selected against in your environment. Because selection is not fair. It is efficient. And the past is an inefficient advisor. Chapter 4. History favors the amnesiac predator. History does not reward memory. It weaponizes it against those who carry it too faithfully. Every dominant force you admire succeeded by abandoning its previous identity at the correct moment. Empires that survived did not preserve tradition. They curated it. They kept what increased control and discarded what slowed expansion. The ones that collapsed clung to legacy, ritual, and moral nostalgia while their rivals adapted without sentiment. Men follow the same pattern. Those who rise are not the most principled or consistent. They are the most selective. They remember what increases leverage and forget what imposes obligation. This selective amnesia is not ignorance. It is strategic pruning. You cannot carry every past version of yourself into a new terrain. Excess weight kills. Your rivals understand this intuitively. They study you, not to empathize, but to predict. Your history is their map. Every value you advertise, every boundary you swear never to cross, every wound you publicly nurse. These become pressure points. They do not need to overpower you. They only need to trigger you into behaving like your past self. This is why emotional memory is the most valuable currency in manipulation. Trigger the memory, control the response. The man who says, "I would never," has already declared his flank. The man who says, "because this happened to me," has announced his operating system. Predictability is not honesty. It is exposure. Look at human nature without sentiment. In moments of scarcity, alliances dissolve. In moments of opportunity, morality bends. The people who survive these shifts are not the most loyal to who they were. They are loyal to advantage. History is not a record of virtue. It is a ledger of adaptation. Those who cling to the past believe it gives them depth. In reality, it gives others leverage over them. Memory becomes a tool of governance. Nations do this deliberately. Myths, traumas, anniversaries, identities, used to anchor populations to behaviors that no longer serve them. The individual does the same to himself unknowingly. The most dangerous opponent is the one who is not bound by narrative continuity. He does not need to justify himself to his past. He updates. He sheds. He discards identities the moment they stop producing results. This makes him appear cold, even inhuman. In truth, he is simply unburdened. You were taught that forgetting is betrayal. That changing is hypocrisy. That consistency is character. These beliefs exist to stabilize systems, not to empower individuals. A man who refuses to change can be planned around. A man who updates without apology destabilizes others. Understand the asymmetry. The world will evolve whether you do or not. Your past will not protect you from being selected out. It will only make your behavior easier to model. When environments shift rapidly, the man with the strongest memory often dies first. Not physically, but hierarchically. This is the deep threat. The past does not just limit you internally. It broadcasts your future behavior externally. It turns you into a pattern. Patterns are harvested. If you want safety, keep remembering. If you want power, learn what to forget. History does not belong to the sentimental. It belongs to the adaptive predator who treats memory as a weapon, not a shrine. Chapter 5. Strategic Detachment Protocol. Detachment is not emotional numbness. It is operational clarity. This is where most men fail. They attempt to move on while still negotiating with their past. They keep the memories alive, reframe them, rationalize them, seek closure. That is not detachment. That is extended captivity. You do not negotiate with obsolete identities. You decommission them. The first rule of detachment: nothing from the past is entitled to a vote. Memories are data, not advisors. The moment a past experience begins influencing present decisions without measurable return, it becomes a liability. Sentiment does not scale. Advantaged as this requires a brutal shift in behavior. You stop asking, is this aligned with who I am? And replace it with, does this increase leverage now? Alignment is a comfort concept. Leverage is a survival concept. One preserves identity. The other preserves position. Next, interrupt emotional rehearsal. Every time you replay a memory, you strengthen its circuit. This is not reflection, it is reinforcement. Strategic detachment demands silence, no internal monologues, no reliving conversations, no moral postmortems. When the mind reaches backward, you cut the feed, not gently, immediately. Attention is oxygen. Starve the memory and it weakens. Third, collapse identity labels. I am the loyal one. I am the honest one. I am the disciplined one. These labels feel stabilizing. They are restraints. Labels commit you to behaviors regardless of context. Strategy requires optionality. You act based on environment, not self-concept. The moment you feel the need to be consistent, you are no longer free. Fourth, replace meaning with metrics. The past survives because it feels meaningful. Meaning is subjective. Metrics are objective. Did an action increase your autonomy, influence, or resources? If not, its emotional justification is irrelevant. This shift feels cold because it is. Warmth is not a requirement for sovereignty. Fifth, practice controlled identity violation. Do something that contradicts your previous self-image deliberately. Not recklessly, but precisely. This trains the nervous system to tolerate identity disruption. Once the brain learns that contradiction does not equal annihilation, its grip loosens. Fear dissolves through exposure, not affirmation. Understand the cost. Detachment will make you less relatable. People bonded to your old identity will feel unsettled. Some will accuse you of changing, of losing your values, of becoming distant. They are correct. Their comfort was subsidized by your predictability. You have revoked that subsidy. This protocol is not moral. It is not fair. It does not care if your past was painful or noble. It only asks one question: does it serve current objectives? Most men will not do this because it requires abandoning psychological rewards they have grown dependent on: righteousness, nostalgia, moral superiority, victimhood. These rewards feel like power. They are not. They are compensation for the absence of it. Detachment is the moment you stop being governed by memory and start governing behavior. The past will attempt to reassert control through emotion, doubt, and identity panic. That reaction is not a sign of error. It is confirmation that the procedure is working. What remains after detachment is not emptiness. It is space. And space is where power installs itself. Chapter 6, Identity Execution and Replacement. Detachment creates space. Space demands occupation. This is where most men hesitate. They succeed in weakening the old identity, then rush to fill the void with something familiar: new labels, new philosophies, new moral codes. This is regression disguised as progress. Replacement must be engineered, not adopted. First, understand the necessity of execution. The old identity cannot coexist with the new one. Continuity is the enemy. If fragments remain, values you refuse to question, behaviors you protect just in case, narratives you still explain yourself through, they will resurface under pressure. Identity is not a belief system. It is a reflex system. Partial removal guarantees relapse. Execution is psychological, not emotional. You do not grieve the old self. You invalidate it. You treat it as a prototype that failed under current conditions. No anger, no nostalgia, just disqualification. What no longer performs loses authority. Next comes replacement, and replacement follows a single rule: identity must be functional, not expressive. Your new identity is not who you are. It is how you operate. It is modular, adjustable, and disposable. You do not defend it. You use it. The moment it stops producing leverage, it is revised without sentiment. Start with constraints, not aspirations. Define what the environment rewards and punishes. Power is context-specific. What works in one domain fails in another. The new identity is built to exploit incentives, not to signal virtue. It is silent where noise attracts risk, aggressive where passivity invites encroachment. Then define non-negotiables, not values. Values are abstract. Non-negotiables are operational. Access to time, control over attention, freedom of movement, resource accumulation. These replace moral identity as the organizing principle. Anything threatening them is eliminated, regardless of how it aligns with your past self-image. Behavior precedes belief. You do not wait to feel like the new identity. Feelings are lagging indicators. You act first, repeatedly, under mild stress. The nervous system adapts. Belief follows behavior, not the reverse. This is why identity built through affirmation collapses, while identity built through action hardens. Expect resistance, internal and external. Internally, the brain will attempt to resurrect the old self through doubt and emotional flashbacks. Externally, others will test boundaries. attempting to re-anchor you to who you were. This is not coincidence. It is correction pressure. Systems resist elements that stop behaving predictably. You respond with consistency, not explanation. You do not justify changes. You do not narrate evolution. You do not seek understanding. Explanation invites negotiation. Negotiation invites regression. Silence enforces reality faster than argument. At this stage, many men feel a disturbing calm. Emotional intensity drops. Moral drama fades. This is not emptiness. It is the absence of internal friction. Energy previously spent maintaining identity coherence is now available for execution. This is sovereignty, the ability to change without asking permission from others or from your past. The man who completes this phase is no longer haunted. He is not healed. He is unencumbered. His history exists, but it does not govern. He remembers selectively, acts contextually, and updates without apology. What replaces the old identity is not a higher self. It is a sharper instrument. And instruments are not loyal. They are effective. Chapter 7. Final warning to the unselected. This is where separation occurs. Up to now, everything has been information. From this point forward, it becomes filtration. Not everyone who understands this will act on it. Most will return to their past quietly, the way prisoners return to routine after tasting freedom. Familiar captivity feels safer than undefined sovereignty. Understand the final truth. Selection is already happening. Not someday. Not hypothetically. Every environment you enter is ranking you by adaptability, not intention, by responsiveness, not morality, by utility, not effort. The past does not earn you mercy. It only signals how you will behave when pressure increases. Those who remain attached to identity continuity will be phased out gradually. They will not be attacked. They will be bypassed. Opportunities will stop presenting themselves. Influence will decay. Respect will thin. They will call it bad luck, aging, or a broken system. It is none of those. It is deselection. The elite do not announce their criteria. They observe behavior. They notice who updates when conditions shift and who clings to outdated scripts. They invest in the first and extract from the second. If you are still governed by memory, you are still a resource. This is the final inversion you must accept. Being unchanged is not integrity, it is exposure. Every vow you refuse to reconsider becomes a handle. Every belief you refuse to stress test becomes an entry point. The man who insists on remaining the same announces that he has stopped competing. You will feel a pull to soften this message, to reintroduce meaning, fairness, or reassurance. That impulse is the last defense of the old identity. It wants to survive as reasonable. Do not indulge it. Reality does not negotiate with comfort. From here, the path splits cleanly. One path leads back to narrative, explaining yourself, honoring your past, staying recognizable. That path offers emotional familiarity and long-term irrelevance. The other path requires ongoing self-erasure, periodic identity audits, ruthless adaptation, the willingness to become unrecognizable to those who benefited from your predictability. That path offers isolation, clarity, and leverage. No one will congratulate you for choosing it. No audience will applaud restraint. Power accumulates quietly, then becomes obvious all at once. This is not a call to action. It is a notice. If you continue to let the past speak for you, it will eventually speak against you through missed chances, diminished authority, and controlled outcomes you mistake for fate. Selection does not ask what you meant to do. It only records what you adapted to. You are either updating, or you are already being replaced.